Joining us now, she's back, of course, fresh off a year where history was made for the Jackrabbits, winning the Summit regular season and conference tournament championship, making the NCAA tournament for the first time, and of course, winning an NCAA tournament game up in the Fayetteville Regional. 43-8 last season. She's now in her 8th season, Coach of the Year in the Summit League, NFCA Region Coach of the Year. Krista Wood back with us here on In the Circle. Coach, you've added a lot to your resume since we last had you on the show.
Yeah, well, yeah, it was a great year. It was a fun year. And we're looking forward to the 22 season.
Let's talk about some recent news. You got a new assistant on board. Just talk about the process in that as bringing Coach Gomez on board.
Yeah, I mean, we're really, really lucky to pick her up. I mean, we lost Coach Stokes to a head coaching position to Upper Iowa, which was a great opportunity for her. But Coach Gomez, Brittany Gomez Olson, I guess is what her name is. She was up at Bemidji, and we actually, our football program hired her husband in January. And so Brittany had reached out to me about, being a volunteer assistant because she wanted to stay in the game, knowing that, at the time Kiki was still here and she was going to finish up at Bemidji. And so, I was like, that'd be awesome. I mean, we've never really had a volunteer assistant, and that'd be great to have someone with her knowledge, to be our volunteer. And then season got over, and I met with her, had lunch, and then like 2 days later, Kiki told me the Upper Iowa job was open, which is where her fiance is. And I knew that was probably a no-brainer for her, and she was going to take off. And here we are, Brittany sitting here. And I was like, what a perfect timing for all of this. And so we, opened it up and went through the process, and we were fortunate, obviously to have her here and get her, but with her knowledge and her experience, I don't think we're going to miss a heartbeat with what we do defensively and what we do with our slappers. She's already been great with our kids, kind of picking up where Coach Stokes had left off. And I think our kids will really form to that. And it's been, we've been doing some individuals, and it's been really great to see her working with our kids.
It's got to be a compliment too to the program on the fact that you've now got staff, on your staff, people that end up getting head coaching jobs. That had to be cool when you saw that you found out about Coach Stokes getting that head coaching job.
Yeah, I mean, a great opportunity for her, and it's good. It's really cool to see, coaches take that next step when they want to do that, when they're ready. And we talk quite often anyhow, but she'll get it figured out. She's been on top of it, and she's getting, I think her team's just new on campus. So it'll be fun for her.
You give her any big advice?
Oh man, I said, be patient. It's hard to be patient. So that was my advice I gave her, to just, she is a patient person and she'll do well with that, but, stick to the process, stay patient. And that was kind of what I gave her.
Had you had a chance to reflect on last year, such a historic year, an incredible year where the program was on the map nationally? You win the conference championship. You get to the NCAA tournament in Fayetteville. You win that first game. You come in within, literally, you could argue, one hit away from a regional final. Have you had a chance to reflect on that? Because I know when we spoke, it was about, building and building and building. And here you accomplish a huge milestone. Did you get a chance to reflect during the offseason?
Yeah, I mean, it barely, because I felt like we were jumping right back into recruiting. So, but we have a lot to be proud of, with such a young team to go out there and do what we did this year, which now has set the bar high and our standards high. And I think, it's been really cool to see our kids come back this fall. And, now we are an NCAA team and our kids have come back. I feel like they're in shape. I feel like, they have already in their mind something that we're working for. And I was a little nervous about that because I was like, they made all those goals. What are they going to look like when they come back? And I think our kids look stronger. I think they look faster. Yeah, we got a little rust on, with the maybe pitching and hitting, but that'll come. And it was really cool to see our kids compete at such a high level and attain those goals and really stick to the process of what we had been preaching to them. Like there's no such thing as failure, and keep growing from your experiences and be resilient. We had no back-to-back losses until the regional tournament, and just some of the goals and expectations we had set all year to kind of get to where we were. I mean, it was really, that was the main thing I kind of reflected on, like what our process, and we really did stick to our process to achieve those goals. So I know right now, you know, and we haven't set any goals yet for the 22 season, but I mean, I'm pretty sure they'll be set. I mean, we can have the same goals, even higher. It might look a little different this year because I think our schedule is a little tougher in 22, but we want to keep preparing ourselves to win a regional.
How do you approach this group moving forward? You got a lot of players back, so they know the experience, they got a taste of it. On the other hand, a lot of them got a pat on the back. What a year. This is incredible. Do you worry that they get too, you know, as far as too much compliment, that, you know, hey, do you approach it a different way now and saying, hey, you got to forget about last year? Do you have to be tougher on them? Do you have to remind them of certain things? Or do you keep the same approach there and same mindset that you did last year? Do you tweak anything, or do you keep it kind of the way it was last year?
You know, I mean, our kids are very, they work very hard, and they have high expectations for themselves. And from what I see right now is I'm going to take a lot of the same approach, but I do need to prepare them that, hey, like we did have a great season last year, but it's going to look different this year. I mean, we might not go 21-1 in the league, but we can still win the league. And, you know, we might not be 43-8 because our schedule is a little bit tougher, but we're doing what we can to prepare us for the postseason and to prepare us to win a conference championship again, but yet win a regional. So I think where it might look a little different is when we get into season, and making sure that our kids aren't pressing to replicate the season that we had previously, because that was then, we did that, but this is now, and we have to stay in the present and focus on the goals ahead of us and not worry about trying to replicate something that was in the past.
And what's going to be unique this year, you're going to have a target on your back. You know, when your team's name is on the schedule, especially as we get to conference play, but I think even as well in non-conference, teams are going to be gunning for you because they saw you, right? That's the other uniqueness about this upcoming year now.
Yeah, and I think that's good for us because I'm hoping that we'll see everybody's number ones, which will then make us better offensively. And so I think that will fuel us a little bit, knowing that, and yeah, we're not going to sneak up on anybody this year. We definitely have made a name for ourselves, and our kids deserve that. But I think they need to know, like, you know, we can't take a pitch off, and we need to stay in the game, and we need to play all 7 innings, and we need, you know, the game's not over till it's over, and continue to keep working the way we did in the past, but not to let that type of pressure bother us, but to let it fuel us.
What was wild about last season was, you mentioned the youth on your team. You had a ton of freshmen, sophomores. It wasn't like this was like, hey, this was a junior, senior led, you know, ton of juniors and seniors that had gone through the grind. You had a lot of youth. I mean, did a part of you in retrospect like, wow, we actually maybe got ahead of schedule where we were, considering the youth you had? That's the thing that impressed you. You didn't play like you were a young team. If people didn't know what years your players were, they would have thought you were full of a bunch of seniors.
Yeah, I was really impressed with the way we handled pressure situations, adversity. And we talk about that a lot in our culture and our championship mindset is, you know, how to handle those situations. And it's okay to be stressed. It's okay to have a little bit of anxiety, but how do we handle those situations? And I think it helped us a lot, especially, you're right, with a young team. I mean, we had a lot of freshmen and sophomores out there. And so I hope that we can continue to grow and be better even in those situations, and learn from our experiences that we had in the past to make us an even better team in the future.
I thought a defining moment for me on the outside was in the conference tournament, elimination tournament. You dropped the game to Omaha. So now you got to come out of the losers bracket. Who knows what happens if you don't win that tournament? Do you get in? Do you not? I know that became, from the outside, I know you all weren't paying attention, but that started becoming a conversation. What happens if you don't win the tournament? Do you still get in and all that stuff? But you rally on that. And I remember I asked you about that when in the Fayetteville in the media relay. You said that was the first time all year that your team didn't play like you had played all year, that maybe you played not to lose, but that was a great experience. Just discuss that adversity that group, because that was a moment there. Either they're going to fold or you're going to respond, and your team responded and won the championship.
Yeah, that I think anybody that was there and experienced that feeling was able to learn and grow from that. It was crazy. I mean, the coaches felt it, the players felt it. But again, we talk about how much preparation we do in the off season and how much preparation we do in the preseason, that we've worked way too hard to, and we have to trust that process. We've worked way too hard to put pressure on ourselves. The only time that you should put pressure on yourself is if you don't feel prepared. And all of our kids have been prepared. We prepare them physically, mentally. And so I think that was, a great experience from the coaching perspective and even the player perspective on how to handle that. And that one time we played not to lose instead of play to win. And I didn't feel that at all in the regional. I felt like we played to win every game. But yeah, we did have a lot of pressure on us, and, we did respond really well because we lose one more game after that, we're out. We're out. We're in the bottom of the bracket. We had to win 2 games on championship Saturday to win the region. And I felt like we came out to win 2 games. We didn't fold at all. But yeah, I definitely think that keeping that mindset of playing to win and next pitch and putting things in the past is going to be important to this team. Whether it's a positive or negative in the past, we need to continue to keep moving forward and look into the future.
Describe the experience of Fayetteville Regional, the NCAA Tournament. What do you take away from that? You got a first-time win against Stanford. You played Arkansas tough, and then you had that extra inning marathon classic with Stanford there in the battle. As you reflect on that regional, what do you take from that experience moving forward?
It was a lot. We've never played in front of that many fans. So it was just a great experience that I think our kids will work really hard to get back to that environment. I think it's just, they live for that. They came here to play for that. They came here to play for championships. And that experience right there is something that you only get at a regional, or obviously we're going to host the conference tournament this year in Brookings because we won it last year. So I think the environment will be big and vibrant again. But it was fun. Everybody loves playing at the regional. You're there, you earned it. And I think coming off of that, I think we also learned hey, we can hang with anybody. And we were a hit away from making it to the regional final, so we can pitch to anybody, we can play defense with anybody, and we can hit with anybody. We're right there. And I think we learned that we belong there, and we belong there because we've worked hard to be there, and we had nothing to hang our heads about. We were proud of what we did and what we accomplished. And now we're back at it again to get back there and see what we can do in a regional here in 22.
And it helps when you had a great 1-2 punch in the circle like you do with obviously Grace Glancer, who won 19 games last year, and then Tori Kenichi, who won 21 games, was the pitcher of the year in the Summit. Just discuss the two of them. We've talked about Grace before, but Tori kind of put herself on the map last season with the year she had in 2021. Just discuss those two and why they complement each other so well, where you've got a 1-2 punch and you feel confident with either one.
Yeah, they're both competitors. They complement each other really well. Grace spins the ball a little bit more, can throw about at 3 different speeds. And then Tori's more of your power pitcher that, throws 64 to 66 on the mound up. She's developing a changeup. And like I said, they complement each other. If one starts to get hit, we can bring another one in just because they're so different in what they do and how they approach. But they're both so competitive. We want them both on the mound. It doesn't matter who we put out there. When we put one of them out there, we feel as though we're going to win.
What is the ceiling for both of them? They're young. Like if I watch them pitch, you think they're juniors this year, but they're not. They're still young. Yeah. What's the ceiling for them, especially with Tori? Because as I mentioned, she kind of was the one that kind of put her name, made a name for herself last year. Nobody really knew about her as much last year. Last year, great people knew about Grace, but not Tori. Tori was the one that maybe even surprised some by winning the pitcher of the year because a lot of people thought Grace would be the favorite. It's a good problem to have when you have 2 pitcher of the year candidates on your same staff.
Yep. Yeah, they just got to, we got to keep learning how to manage counts, how to approach hitters in different situations. Even if there's a runner on 3 with less than 2 outs, we're going to try to keep the ball low, keep it down. We don't need a sac fly, different things like that. Just learning that part of the game. They're still working on continuing to develop pitches that will continue to make them better, I think, by whether they're changing speeds or making the ball move a little bit more up, down, east, west. I still think they have a very high ceiling with both of them, and the fact that they're going to continue to grow as pitchers, but they're going to continue to develop as well.
And continue to lead the pitching staff as well as the team there. Just talk about that what they could bring to the rest of the staff as far as from a leadership and a mentor standpoint.
Yeah, I think, whether or not you bring in young pitchers or not, they are leaders on the mound. They face adversity. They actually pitch better in big situations than they do in other situations. They love that moment, bases loaded, 1 out. They love being in that moment, getting that strikeout or getting that, ground ball. But I just think that their presence on the mound and the way they respond to adversity is something that our young kids could learn from for sure.
Your offense was dynamic, 317 on the year, 73 home runs in 51 games. Top to bottom, explosive offense. You had the player of the year, Siley Halverson, who hit 352, 19 homers, 59 RBIs. First player to win Summit Player of the Year for your program since Brittany Morris in 2018. Just describe this offense, first of all, from top to bottom, how you were able to build the depth that you did on offense.
Yeah, Coach Villard does a great job working with their hitters and preparing them for every pitcher. So when our kids step in the box, they have an idea of, what they're going to see, whether it's going to move up, down, in, out, change of speed. But, our kids, a lot of them were freshmen the year before when COVID hit, and then we had some incoming freshmen. But, I think we have power, we have speed, and obviously we can hit the ball out of the park. I think we almost led the nation in triples because of our speed. But up and down the lineup, we tell our kids, we have to put the ball in play. We got to put the ball in play hard. We don't try to hit home runs. We're trying to hit line drives up the middle. And I think our kids have really bought into our system of what we're doing offensively to prepare them for games. They come in and they talk to each other. And I think we do a good job of learning, batter to batter. Like you see our kids talking to each other. What did you see? How are they pitching the lefties? How are they pitching the slappers? And we grow and learn throughout the game so that we can continue to score runs. There was times we saw 3 to 4 pitchers in a game, and I felt like we would knock one out, and our hitters just continue to thrive on that. So I think that hitting is contagious, and our offense is contagious for sure. And when you're putting up low numbers on the board from our pitchers, it's easy to relax at the plate and have some fun as well.
Who are your leaders in the offensive standpoint, either from a vocal standpoint or just from just from show an example standpoint?
Yeah, Kylie for sure. She works hard. She gets in there. She battles. She's got a great presence at the plate. Jocelyn Carrillo had a great season. Our center fielder for us hit right around 500. She does not lead vocally, but leads by example for sure. Peyton Doherty's been a 4-year starter for us at the top of the order, who's got that speed. Emma Osmondson, who's a slapper in the 2-hole, but can slap it out of the park. Her home runs were on slaps this year. She's got power and speed together. So, those 4, Kelsey Lennox hit some home runs for us this past year. Again, has a big presence at the plate, I would say. But, up and down our lineup, even our 9-hole, Rosalind Carrillo, she hit a handful of home runs as well. Our kids just battle at the plate, and they're tough outs. And I think they have a lot of discipline and know what they're looking for when they're up to the plate to swing.
You're also disciplined on the defensive standpoint, 977 fielding, 31 errors only on the year. Sound defensively behind your pitchers. That's people don't always focus on the defensive standpoint, but that's an underrated aspect. Your team is very sound. You don't give away extra outs.
Right. We talk about that a lot, trying to protect our pitchers by not having those errors, because the more errors we have, the more times they roll through the lineup or they see our pitcher extra. But Rosalind Carrillo, freshman shortstop for us, I think she had 4 errors on the year. That's phenomenal as a freshman shortstop. But we take pride in all aspects of our game: offense, defense, pitching. I think it's important. If you want to be great, you need to be good at all parts of your game. And as much as our kids like love to swing, we put a lot of emphasis on the defense as well. Being able to take good angles at balls and, just fighting through, tough grounders that are coming at you. But again, I think it's important to be good at everything that you do. And so our kids try to be as best well-rounded as they can be.
When you have so much talent coming back, it's a good problem to have. But do you have to create competition internally, or is that something that comes from within, from the players? How do you approach that when you have so many players coming? I know you got some new faces, and you have to, every team's different from a chemistry standpoint and personality. So how do you approach that when you have so many players coming back?
I mean, I think they're all competitive, but yes, we do a lot of competitions, whether it's in conditioning, whether it's in practice, maybe it's an offensive drill or defensive drill. A lot of times we're putting pressure on kids and competing because that's what it's all about. And whether we could be in the bullpen as well, we'll do competitions in the bullpen, but we'll scrimmage, we'll break them into teams and do kind of like an Athletes Unlimited in the spring where we're giving them points for different things. So we'll kind of do that stuff. But I think it's important to continue to stay competitive because and put pressure on kids in situations because that's what it's about in the games. And can you perform under pressure? And when you're competing every day and you're putting pressure on yourselves, you're learning to deal with that adversity and learning to deal with that pressure in a positive way.
Every year, the NFCA, they honor 10 coaching staffs with coaching staff regions of the year. Your staff was one of them. I know that's not what you're in it for, but still, what was your reaction when you found out you were good? You were honored by the NFCA as a coaching staff of the year up in the Midwest as the Midwest coaching staff of the year. How did you find out about it? What was your reaction? That's still a pretty special honor there when you're recognized by your peers and among the country.
It was a great honor because it just shows that our fellow our other teams and their coaching staffs respect us. And, it was an honor to see that they put us up for that. And they thought that, our staff had done a great job and that they respect what we do and they think it's worthy. And I just thought it was really cool because I am friends with a lot of those people out there and I wasn't expecting it at all. I mean, we saw it on social media and I was like, that's pretty cool. And I was proud of my staff. I was proud of Coach Stokes. I was proud of Coach Villar. I mean, they put a lot of work and we all of us coaches put a lot of time and work in behind the scenes, and to see it kind of pay off with that recognition is kind of cool to see that your peers see that and they respect you. And I was really, really humbled by that. That was cool. The
school also rewarded you. You got to sign an extension to stay through 2025. How big was that to take care of you? You've talked about the support you've gotten, in helping build this program. And I think it was sending a loud message because this, when coaches get successful, all of a sudden their names get thrown for like other jobs and things like that. I thought it was a loud message from the school to say, hey, we're determined here to build this more. And they took care of you.
Yeah, it was awesome. I love it here. We're building something. We're just getting started. And there's just a lot of cool things happening here. Jackrabbit athletics in general is big here. I mean, basketball, football, baseball, soccer, women's soccer, we're all on the rise. And just at the mid-major level, it's really cool to see because I think we're kind of starting to be a powerhouse in mid-major sports in general. And like I said, I love it here. It's a family atmosphere. I thought it was very rewarding to get that extension, knowing that, they want me to stay and they like what I'm doing. But again, to help ensure recruits like, hey, I'm in it and I'm in it for the long haul and I want to be here and I do love it here and we're going to continue to keep winning.
Let's talk about the league because you're going to be the defending champions. With that comes obviously the target. You're going to everybody's going to bring their best game. This is a league that keeps improving. You look at obviously North Dakota State, they're going to bounce back. They're going to want to be back at the top there. They're great tradition, great rivalry you both have in all sports, but certainly it's building in the softball area. But then you got programs like Kansas City, who's got great wins and that. They were in the mix for the conference title there in that year, among others. I mean, you got new coaches in the league, one new coach at Omaha that's trying to build as well, and Coach Goler in Western Illinois. Just talk about the league's growth here because that's going to be a challenge and, people are going to go after you. But it's a league that, to me, is kind of underappreciated.
Yeah, I definitely think, I'm going into year 8 here, that our league continues to get stronger. Like you said, UMKC knocked off some big schools this past spring. North Dakota State's always good. Omaha's on the rise. Coach Goller at Western Illinois. I'm sure we'll get her team up and going. We add St. Thomas into the league. North Dakota always has good pitching. I mean, it's getting tougher, and we're continuing to I think make a name for ourselves in the Summit League by more teams continuing to have success. So that's really fun to see, because we can play softball up here in the Midwest and the North, and I think everyone doesn't give us enough credit up this way. But it's fun to see the league grow and the great coaches that we're continuing to get in the league. And I'm excited for the competition in 22. And you're right, I think this season will be even tougher than it was last season, because teams are continuing to grow and get better. And I think that's exciting.
Yeah, that's a great point you bring up. I'm glad you reminded me. St. Thomas joins the league, a program that's had tremendous success in softball and a great tradition in D3. Obviously, there's going to be an adjustment period for them. But what does their arrival mean for the league? And what do you think the impact's going to be as someone who's had to make that jump from a coaching standpoint? What do you think are some of the adjustments they're going to have to deal with?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know a ton about St. Thomas. I do know, they had like a varsity and a JV, so they had a lot of kids on the team. So trying to filter down into, like a Division I squad where you're just at, 20 to 24 kids. I think, if you come from the softball part of it, I think the pitching will be a big adjustment for them, like seeing our type of pitchers compared to Division III. I think that will be a big adjustment for their offense. And then even their pitchers facing Division I hitters. You're jumping from Division III to Division I. So I think there'll be a learning curve for sure. Coach Bagley Trotter is a great fit for that. She'll work hard up there. She knows what it takes. She was at Division II and then played against a lot of Division I. So I feel as though that, it'll take some years for sure, but I know that they'll get up and running there. And I'm not saying they're in the cities. Minneapolis, you can recruit to that. So I'm sure they'll get a lot of good recruits in and out of there. But again, it'll just be an adjustment offensively for them to kind of figure out the Division I pitching part of it.
How will that affect the conference scheduling from moving forward, as far as from a coaching staff? What have you? Because I know now, first of all, this past year, y'all went the gauntlet going a 4-game series. Yeah. Which that had I remember you were like, man, it's stressful from a 4-game series there.
Yeah.
But just describe, first of all, what was it like to go through that 4-game gauntlet series every week? And now obviously you got a new member. How will that adjust the schedules here for the league moving forward for next year and beyond?
Yeah, so now we'll go back down to 3-game series. That 4-game series, man. Game 3 sometimes can be, for the offense, but Game 4 felt like that you think now Game 3 is going to feel easy compared to Game 4, but so we'll go back to 3-game series, and now there are 8 of us in the league, so it looks like you'll play 4 on the road and 3 at home, or vice versa, and it'll switch every year. So kind of evens it out a little bit, but it won't be that much different. Just it adds, now we don't have a bye weekend. We used to have a bye weekend in our schedule, and we won't have that anymore, which is kind of nice because it's hard to pick up games during your bye weekend.
Yeah. Describe, you say you're going to host a conference tournament in Brookings. Describe for those that haven't been to Brookings, what's it like? What's it going to be like? Your facilities? What is that going to be like to host that conference tournament?
We've never done it before, so I'm not quite sure, but we just added an outfield wall, a new scoreboard. We're adding a press box with hopefully a surround sound system. Just for our home games, we pack the bleachers in the house. I think they're going to have to add some extra seating out there in the outfield and maybe up and down the lines, but it's a really nice place. Nice field. We're right next to the indoor, and I think it's all kind of tight right in there. So I think it'll be packed, and I think it'll be a lot of fun because it's never been done there before. So I think a lot of people will be excited about it.
And you're going to have more people following your program because of the success. More local people are going to tune in and they're going to follow you. That's how the sports works, right? You win, and then more people kind of become interested and they get glued. And that's kind of how this works. It's kind of you kind of invite more people to come in and become softball fans.
Yeah, and even in the state of South Dakota, softball is just getting sanctioned here in the next year. And I think softball is just continuing to be on the rise in general. With Augustana's success just down south of us, softball is just a hot topic right now with in the state.
Did you as you were, because you got back to recruiting in person this year, which obviously was a big story of the offseason, but I'm curious, did you get more people coming up to you? It was like, man, well, congrats, what a great year, more than usual, where maybe in the past you'd be kind of like, hey, no, Ryan, I'm not, no, I could just be under the radar, do my thing. But now people are stopping probably to pat you on the back.
Yeah, it was really cool this summer to, coaches that I don't typically maybe talk to as much or we don't play, but big coaches would come up and say, congrats on a great season. You guys really, put yourselves on the map. And it was really cool because, like I said, people recognized us. I mean, throughout the summer, even, I'd see different coaches, and I was really, it felt really good to know that people recognized us nationally, really nationally,
Yep.
for our success and not just in the region. And it felt really good. And it was even able to make connections with people because now we're kind of getting invited to go to even different tournaments. People are asking us, hey, like, you want to come down and play at our place or whatever, where maybe before we weren't quite good enough to get invited to some of those places. And I understand that with the RPI and how competitive that is. So that was really cool. And it was a great experience. And it was a lot of fun going out recruiting this summer. Number one, just seeing recruits, but being around our colleagues again and getting to see them and chit chat.
That's a great point. You just stole my next question I was going to ask. How has the success affected your scheduling? It sounds like more people now, it's opened up more doors than before, because I wondered, it could go two ways. It could open more doors, or people might be more afraid to play you. But it sounds like there's more respect, and as a result, hey, you're going to help our schedule actually from a resume standpoint. So now you're getting maybe doors you didn't have years ago.
Yeah, I definitely feel like it's helped us get into tournaments, and people have been asking us more to play than, like, they didn't really want to bring down a team that was, our RPI hopefully will continue to stay up there. And then whether they win or lose to us, it will help them, So I think that's a good thing for our program.
Last couple questions. Obviously, when you're such a veteran team, you don't have as many new faces, but still you'll have some new faces. How do you blend that in? And do you have some new faces that you're intrigued to learn about in the fall and could maybe contribute to this veteran teteam?
Yeah, we have 4 freshmen that just came in. 2 of them were on the team that won the PGF National out in California, that one from Nebraska Gold. So that's exciting to see that. It's always competitive, whether you're a senior, sophomore, junior, freshman. But like this fall, it'll be great because last fall we didn't get a fall season. To see our freshmen actually get out there, have a fall, and even some of our freshmen from the previous year didn't have a fall. So this is kind of their first fall season as well. But get out there and kind of blend people together. And I think we do a good job of trying to figure out, maybe who offensively would be good to play this game against this pitcher. And we're able to utilize a lot more people than just trying to keep the street 9 or 10 every single game. Whether it's, we have 2 catchers and this catcher hits a rise ball pitcher better than this catcher, then we would put that catcher in. But being able to utilize our entire team to try to win games or series, I think is going to be important to make sure everyone feels as though they've been a part of it. I thought we did a pretty good job of that last year, but it's even going to be more important this year because, like you said, we lost 2 and we added 4. So yeah, I think we'll have to be strategic with what we do and how we do it.
Do you almost have to get to know your freshmen again? Because I've had coaches tell me, because you hadn't had in-person recruiting until this offseason, that for some of the freshmen that are coming in, they almost have to kind of introduce themselves a little bit because they haven't dealt with them in person in a long time. They've done it mostly virtually or by phone and things like that. Is that the case with you?
Are you talking about our last year's freshmen or this year's freshmen?
This year's coming up. This year's.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't had a lot of contact like with our 21 freshmen this year, just because we lost a full year of having them on campus for football games or basketball games. So it's kind of fun to get to know them a little bit more. And even like some of our 22s that we've had verbal, now we're kind of getting them back on campus and getting them to, do some things. So I think it'll, be important to continue to build those relationships just because we lost out on a little bit of contact with them. Although we were able to talk to them and Zoom with them, it's still not the same as having that like in-person, contact with each other. But our freshmen have really, I think have really meshed with our team already. And I think even our freshmen from last year, are almost like freshmen again this year, like I said. So they're kind of all on the journey together. I mean, fall football games and all that kind of stuff that happens here, they're kind of experiencing it all together.
Last question now, as you get in deep into the fall, like you said, first fall, you didn't have it last year in the fall. What are some of the things you're going to look for and want to accomplish before the season, and some things maybe some questions you have that could be keys for the season?
I think we need to find who can be that 3-spot pitcher for us. Kendrick Kennard, who graduated last year, was kind of our number 3. So trying to find who can handle that, who can close out some games, who can pitch game 3 if we ask them to of a series. So finding that pitcher. I think it'll be important to kind of find, offensively, who is continuing to work hard and battle through counts and being resilient, who's working together with pitchers and catchers, because now we added a catcher to our staff. And then who's working together well in the middle infield and even in the outfield, who's working well with, last year Jocelyn Creel was our starting center fielder. So who's working well on the corners, and kind of see who's battling and who's sticking with it and who's working through adversity. And these are your times to work through those things and to show us what you got and how gritty you can be. So we're kind of looking for that. And even some vocal leaders, some people that are going to lead by example and lead vocally, and see who kind of takes charge out there. Because we were young last year. Everyone was kind of taking charge, and now we need some people to really step up and take some charge.
Well, we look forward to seeing your team play. I think a lot of people I speak for a lot of softball fans that really enjoyed watching your team last year and getting to know your team that maybe didn't know it before if they didn't follow it on a daily basis, and look forward to seeing what you all come up with. But congrats on the great year last year. Congrats on the great success and the honors that you got, and appreciate you taking the time with us and getting to know us. And like I said, we wish you well this fall and obviously this upcoming season. And thanks for doing this, and we'll keep doing it.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And hopefully we'll be talking again at a postseason coming up here in 22. That'd be awesome.
Sounds like a deal to me, Coach.
Thanks for having me.